Hi Year 7, Mr. Tapley here to take you through your next lesson of Year 7 Humanities, looking at economics in week 3. Before I get into what we're doing today, I will let you guys know that I've uploaded the results for the civics CAT from semester 1, term 1, sorry, till the end of term 1. We did our opinion piece, our essay on Australian identity. I've uploaded the results to Compass, so have a look at the grades, have a look at the feedback that I've given you guys for your CAT. There were a number of students across both classes who did not submit a CAT for whatever reason. I understand that we had some high absence rate at school during the last week of term, but we did complete most of the work preparing for the CAT before everyone ran away, and we've done lots of work in class and out of class, explaining what you needed for the CAT, the rubric. You had your little cheat sheet of information. I had students who were not at school submit their CATs at home by taking photos or just emailing me their CATs, and they did really well in that CAT. So it's disappointing that students who are under the same circumstances as their classmates couldn't put in the same effort as their classmates, and I think they'll find that in our next writing task, our next writing assessment, or in their next assessment for English, that they've had less practice at it, and I think it'll be harder for them. So, yeah, they've missed out on an opportunity there. Those students, have a look at the results. If you disagree, if you have a question, if you think you've submitted the CAT, but for whatever reason it hasn't gone through to me, and I've said exempt, not written, not demonstrated, please let me know, and we'll try and sort that out as soon as possible. But that's last term. This term, what we're looking at today is reviewing our knowledge of key economic principles and developing our research skills. So we've done a lot of theory work, so looking at things like consumers and producers, opportunity cost. What we're doing today is trying to take all of the knowledge that we have about these concepts and apply them to real world, real examples, real businesses, and do a bit of research to get that information, hopefully. So success criteria is to complete a research activity into a business and identify the economic principles we have explored this term in a specific business. So again, we're taking that theory and we're applying it to real-world businesses. List activities, please watch the video lecture link below, or it will be. Read through the class slides 27, 29. Complete the questions and activities in your digital notebook. If you have any questions or concerns, email me. Or the other option you have, and a few students have already done this, this week in previous lessons, is to leave a comment in Google Classroom, either on the class newsfeed, the class stream, where everyone can see that question, because I'm sure a lot of you have the same questions as each other, or you can complete a private comment, which is basically you going into your digital notebook, and there'll be a little button, a little tab that says leave a comment or ask a question, something like that. I can go into your notebook, have a look, respond, and then that question is just in your notebook. So if you feel a bit shy asking questions, or it's not a question that applies to everyone in the class, you can ask one there, or again, you can just email me. I've been replying to most of the emails, I think, pretty quickly. So yeah, that's what we're doing this lesson. Let's have a look at those slides. So that's our lesson plan that we've already gone over. Move me face. Business case study. Before I go any further, case study, if you guys are unfamiliar with that term or what that word means, it's an example. So business example. So in science, in medicine, in humanities, in geography, economics, you'll be looking at case studies, so examples, because we do a lot of theory stuff from the textbook, and then we apply that theory, test our knowledge using real examples. So that's what we're looking at today. This lesson, you'll be completing research into a specific business of your choice. Options have been provided, however, you may select another relevant option. So I've had room on my slides to put 6 in. So I've got McDonald's there, that one's familiar to everyone, I'm sure. That's Apple. H&M is a clothing store, a big clothing brand. The NBA, because the NBA is a business. Nike, and 7-Eleven. So if you'd like to choose a different business, that's fine. Pick one that interests you or that you're curious about. But those are the 6 that I've given you in these slides. So the purpose of this activity is to review the main economic principles terms we've examined so far. And those are, for those who have short memories, goods and services. So we'd be looking at what goods and services these specific businesses make. Producers and consumers. Who are the consumers for the NPA? Who are producers at 7-Eleven? Opportunity versus cost. So that's the positives versus the negatives. So the good things versus the bad things. Opportunities like, oh, I can make some money here. Cost versus, oh, the challenges are this is expensive to make, or this is, etc. And then work. So the different types of jobs that you'll see at those businesses. So you've got 4 questions for this lesson, 4 questions that you'll be completing in your digital notebook, which is in Google Classroom. The reason I'm so persistent about getting you guys to do this in your digital notebook is if you're doing it separately, each lesson in like a different email or in a different Word document or PDF or whatever, it's hard for me to keep track of what you've done throughout the week. It's hard for me to keep track of what you've done throughout the term, and it's going to be harder for you as well, because when I say use your notes to study for the CAT that's coming up next week, or whenever the CAT will be, it's not next week, don't forget. When I say go check your notes to study, you're going to have to scroll through 500 different emails. Whereas if you're doing it in that one digital notebook, that one Google document, that you can see, that I can see, that I can comment on, and that's always going to exist there for you, that's better off, I think, for everyone involved. So if you're having questions and difficulties with the notebook, please let me know, because I think it's really valuable for you guys in the long term. So these are the 4 questions you'll be looking at this lesson. Number 1, who are the consumers and producers for your selected business? So it's pretty straightforward. Who are the people who buy products from these businesses, and who are the producers, so the people who work there? And again, you only have to pick one business, either one of those 6, or you can come up with your own. Number 2, what goods and or services does your business create? So be specific if possible. So don't just say food, say the specific type of food that that business makes. If you can include a price or a description of those products. Because odds are that some of these products from Apple and from H&M, I won't know what that means. So I'll need a description. Question 3, what are some of the opportunity versus cost challenges or questions your business faces? Question 4, what different jobs are a part of your business, and how do they help the business? So that's connecting to chapter 20.7, what we did last lesson, looking at the world of work. So that's what we're doing this lesson, just a couple of slides to read through there. What I have also done though is I've created a little example that you guys can use as a template. So I'm not going to be putting this in the class drive, but you can see I've created an example. This can give you some ideas, hopefully, on how to do your own business case study. So I've got my big 4 questions in blue there. Question 1, who are the consumers and producers for your selected business? So I'm looking at Woolworths, the grocery store. And consumers, I've written down households, so families, obviously going in to buy food. And then small businesses as well. So I worked at a cafe for a long time, and we would get our croissants, we would get our milk delivered from Woolworths, or we go to Woolworths and pick up things. You see the same thing for like small Asian grocers or restaurants or delis even. They will go to Woolworths, they are a consumer. Producers at Woolworths, though, you've got the store workers who are stacking the shelves, obviously, working the register, but also the farmers that are providing fresh food to Woolworths. They're getting money from Woolworths because they're giving them stuff there, so they're producers. They're part of Woolworths' supply chain. What goods and services does your business create? So you can see I haven't given really much detail there. So if I was grading the students' work, I wouldn't be overly impressed. I could be much more specific than just saying food, because who knows what sort of food that means. Household items, toiletries, etc. You guys have probably been to a grocery store at some point in your life. What are some of the opportunity versus cost challenges and questions your business faces? This one's, I feel like opportunity versus cost was a bit of a tricky concept for a few people, and that's understandable, which is why I wanted to give an example of how to answer this question. So a few opportunity cost challenges that Woolworths might face, and honestly that a lot of businesses will face, is something like, how much should I sell these items for? So the opportunity there is, well, if I sell it for a lot of money, I'll make money. That's my opportunity, that's my positives in this scenario here. And then the cost will be, well, if I charge too much, maybe no one buys it. So positives, negatives, that's one challenge. How many staff do we need working each night? So if I have 20 staff working in the store, that means that every customer is going to have someone there to help them out. So that's a positive, that's an opportunity. the cost would be, I would have to pay those workers more than if I had had 10 people working that night. So positive, negative. What farmers should we buy our fresh food products from? So it's probably more specific for Woolworths, but if they have the choice of purchasing fresh food and fruit and veg from Joe McFarmer, who is charging a lot of money, but it's really good, versus Bob McFarmer, his arch rival, who is charging not much for his food, but the food's not very good. That's an opportunity cost challenge or a question that the business has to address. So positives versus negatives of every business decision that they make. And then question 4, what different jobs are part of your business and how do they help the business? Long life assistant is the very fancy term for the person who stacks the shelves at Woolworths. I know that because that was my first job. I was a long life assistant at Woolworths. I was there back when it was called Safeway, actually, so I'm old. Anyway, someone who works at the register, bring the cash register. Not going to see them in the store, but truck drivers are part of Woolworths. They're the jobs at Woolworths. You have people who transport the goods and just the goods from one store to another, or from the farms to the store. They're part of Woolworths. They're jobs. And these people help the business by ... So again, this is just a very basic, not as detailed as yours will be, hopefully, business case study. So hopefully that gives you enough information to help you complete this little activity in your digital notebook. Otherwise, you can email me, ask me any questions you have. The only other thing I want to touch on before I wander out of here is, again, you can let me know if you have any feedback or questions about the cat, the civics cat from last term. The other thing that I'm saying to all my year 7s, all my 9s, all my 10s, please check your attendance. Please mark yourself off on the roll at some point during the school day. I'm going to say it again for the people in the back. Please mark yourself off the roll. Cool. We're seeing first week people were pretty good, marking themselves off the roll, and then for some reason week 2, when I'm recording this video, we've had a few people just forgetting to do it. And I know that they're at school because they're writing things in their notebook, but then 2:45 to 3 p.m. when they've got period 7, their attendance online class, they're not marking themselves off on the roll, and I can't mark them as present unless they've done that. And at that point, there's not much else I can do. At some point, middle school will get involved. Let's tell mom and dad, why hasn't this person been in school? Why aren't they doing anything at home? And then it's just a horrible, horrible thing. So it's super, super simple, super easy. Mark yourselves off on the roll, guys. For my class specifically, but not for everyone, you can mark yourself off at any point during the school day. So, 8:30 to 2:45, you just need to go into your attendance online class, which is in your timetable. It's period 7, and you just need to complete that little Google form quiz. Once that loads up, type in your code, type in your full name, done. That's all you have to do. It takes 2 minutes. I had people who were trying to fill in the role and mark themselves present yesterday at 1 a.m. That's not going to fly. I'm going to ignore that. I'm going to delete that. I'm going back to sleep. So yeah, if you have any questions, guys, please let me know. Otherwise, thank you. Have a good weekend, unless you're watching this on Monday, which you will be, so I hope you had a good weekend. And yeah, cheers.